I bought an iPhone 11. As you guys might have known, I had my iPhone for 6 months. I had it in June of, I believe, last year or the year before. Either way, I only had it for 6 months, and I sold it because I needed money. It wasn't necessarily because I got sick and tired of my iPhone. I'm pretty indifferent when it comes to operating systems. I don't mind Windows, macOS, Linux, iOS and Android. I'm pretty alright as long as it works, and most of the time Windows 10 doesn't work. Either way, today I wanted to break down my month with the phone, just talking about what I experienced with it. This isn't a review, that's what I want to get out of the way. The review will be coming within the next month or so. I want to give it just a while because I am reviewing a lot of phones for Android Authority, so I kind of need to have a bit more time to use this. Otherwise, this is just going to be my 30 days with the phone and what I think of it in the market now that we've got the Pixel 4 and the OnePlus 7T. So I got the white model in 128GB. I wanted the yellow one, but they didn't have it in stock. And I think that's the problem, is the iPhone 11 has been sold massively here in the UK. Everywhere I go with this phone, I get recognised for it. I've never been recognised for my YouTube channel, but they always go, oh, is that an iPhone 11? Is that a new iPhone? And I've never had that before because I've never owned an iPhone brand new when it had first come out, so that's kind of weird. But yeah, I've had a lot of people, especially cashiers, ask me when I go to pay for my food and stuff, is this the new iPhone? And I find that really strange. So the first thing you have to talk about when using an iPhone after using Android phones for a long time is the software any good, and have you changed it? Like, how are you finding it? And I find the software to be alright because I've used iOS on modern phones for a while, so it's not massively different to me. iOS 13 hasn't really been too buggy apart from the keyboard issue where it would just kind of disappear in a lot of apps and you just restart it. There have been a few crashes, like kind of freezes and then it restarts. That's happened a couple of times, which I really wasn't expecting, but yeah, I've kept this thing up to date and it's been okay, but it's definitely not been the smoothest experience I've ever had. The display is obviously a very controversial part of the XR and the iPhone 11. A lot of people hated on it, and I'll be honest, I kind of hated on it for the fact that it costs a lot of money and you get a low resolution screen. But when you actually use it, like, I haven't been able to tell the difference between this and a good quality 1080p LCD. You can tell that it's an LCD, that's the one thing that is very obvious. It's an LCD and not an OLED, but the actual resolution has been absolutely fine. Like, I can hold this thing right up to my eye and I cannot discern an individual pixel. I do wear glasses, but the reason I wear glasses is because the muscle in my right eye is really, really weak. So it's not actually the problem with sight, it's things double up. They tend to double up when I look at something for a long time. So even though I wear glasses, it shouldn't affect this, and I found the screen res to be fine. IPS has a bit of shadowing on the edges. The bezels are really thick. I really wasn't expecting the bezels to be this thick. They don't seem so bad when I've got a case on it because it kind of, there's a lip to the case that covers it up. But the bezels are thick and they're kind of difficult to get used to when you're used to really thin bezel Android phones. Having an ultra wide is really weird on an iPhone. Like, I've been used to it on Android for several years now because a lot of phones, especially LG, have had ultra wide cameras for a long time. But having it on an iPhone within that iOS camera app is still a little bit like almost surreal, just really strange, almost as if someone's ported iOS onto an Android phone. I'm still not used to it. And everyone's saying that the cameras are like the best on a smartphone. Not sure if I really agree with that. Like, maybe I've just not had the right chance or the right circumstances to take the right photos. But this compared to like the Huawei Mate 30 Pro, the Pixel 3a, anything really on the Android side, I haven't noticed this to be better than it. I have seen a massive improvement over the original iPhone 10, and you guys probably know I had a bit of an issue with the iPhone 10's camera. This is definitely an improvement, and I'm glad it has an ultra wide because you guys probably know I'm a massive fan of ultra wide lenses, and the reason I haven't got one on my camera right now is because I can't afford it. But the camera overall has just been great. It's just not been top of its class. The ecosystem, I want to go on a little bit of a rant about the ecosystem. I think it's a load of rubbish. Like, if you know me and you follow me on Twitter, I recommend following me on Twitter for updates and things about my camera equipment breaking all the time, because that seems to happen a lot. I've had a MacBook Pro, like a 15-inch Retina MacBook Pro, for the best part of 2 or 3 months now, I think, and I have not once wanted to connect it to this in any way, shape or form. I don't use iMessage, I don't use AirDrop, I don't use iCloud Keychain, I don't even use iCloud. I've never really seen the point of the ecosystem. I don't think I'm really tied into any kind of ecosystem like Google, Apple, Microsoft. I think that's just me. I don't know. There's a lot of us here in the UK that don't follow the Apple ecosystem, and I think that may be a US based thing. But yeah, that's just something that I've noticed. I might talk a little bit more about it in my review. You can probably tell a lot of what I'm saying is pretty vague, and that's because these are just my initial thoughts after a month. The most annoying thing for me on this phone is the fact that it's still using Lightning. Everything that I use these days has USB Type-C. So like my earphones, my laptop, usually my phone can all use the same charger. But for this thing, no, I have to use Lightning. It's not even like it's micro USB where like it's still semi-ubiquitous. It's the only thing I own that uses Lightning, and it means I have to have a separate cable. And that's really annoying. The charging is pretty slow, and I guess that is annoying as well because I'm so used to quick charging. I don't use wireless charging. I don't really have the time for it because it's usually a lot slower anyway. And I haven't got the 18 watt brick. I've got the 5 watt brick. I believe it's 5 watts that comes in the box, and I've just been using that. And yeah, it's pretty slow to charge, but I've been getting like a day or a day and a half on battery life, so it's not a massive issue. It's not like I need to constantly be topping it up and therefore I have to be constantly near a wall socket or a portable battery bank. It has been like fairly good on battery, but at the same time, if I'm in a pinch and I forget to charge it, that's usually when I need fast charging. When I forget to charge it and I need to when I'm going out or something, that's when it becomes a bit of a hindrance, the fact that it's only 5 watts. Also, Face ID is pretty good, I guess. Like, it's been pretty accurate for me, and it is definitely an improvement over the iPhone 10, because when I place my phone on a surface, like I can still kind of I lean over a little bit just to make sure that it picks up my face, but it's not as bad as people are making out. I feel like that's one of the better things on this phone. I would prefer a rear capacitive fingerprint scanner like on the OnePlus 6 or the Galaxy Note 8 or the Galaxy Note 9 even, but the fact that this has a Face ID instead of an in-display fingerprint scanner is good for me because I don't like in-display fingerprint scanners. I just don't get on with them, so Face ID for me is a win over an under-display fingerprint scanner, but it's not a win over a capacitive scanner. The basic things like lack of a headphone port and the notch and other complaints that people have had for iPhones for a little while now don't bug me at all. I actually don't mind the notch. I much prefer a notch than a motorized camera thing because I like to have as few moving parts as possible and the most IP rating that I can possibly get, so I'm happy with that. Obviously, in an ideal world, the camera would be underneath the display, but it's not for this, and I guess that's not necessarily something I expect. The phone is around £800 for my configuration here in the UK. That's a lot of money. I didn't pay it all in one sum. I'm paying for it on a contract. That's why I was able to get it. And I got a decent deal on it. I'm not actually paying for a SIM card for this. I'm using my own SIM card. It's not the best phone in the world, and it's certainly not what I think a lot of people are hyping it up to be. I think the OnePlus 7T is the much better buy, or the Realme X2 Pro, or the Redmi K20, or maybe even a used iPhone 10. But I want to see where I can really take this review. I'm thinking of making it a really long kind of 15-20 minute, really going in depth, going into all the nuances and making sure that I can create the best content possible for this, because as you guys know, I've been slowing down the projects I've been doing on this channel. So I would really like to go in depth with this and maybe talk about every little detail I possibly can. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. What do you think? Do you think I should have got another phone? I mean, the reason I bought this one is really because it's so different compared to all the Android phones. I work for Android Authority. I don't get to check out many iPhones. It's basically entirely Android. In fact, no, it is entirely Android. So having an iPhone for a personal use is actually really nice because it gives me a break from Android. And what do you think about the recent Pixel 4 release? I was going to do a video on it, but you know, everyone's kind of coming out with their own videos. And also the OnePlus event for the OnePlus 70 and 70 Pro, I was there. I had a lot of fun. I met a lot of friends who I'd only really spoken to online before. I'd never met them in person. That was a really fun experience as well. So, I mean, a lot's been going on recently, but hopefully I can get some more videos out and make some more content, because I really enjoy this stuff, even if I don't have a lot of time for it sometimes. Anyway guys, that's been about it from me. Thank you all so much for watching. Please do like, dislike, comment and subscribe if you're new around here to never miss a video like this one. Also check out all my social medias, like I said, my Twitter, my Instagram, mainly active on Twitter actually. That's the best place to contact me, or you know, for some reason if you really wanted to do that. I've been Ryan Thomas, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.